Hi everyone! In today's video, we're going to see how ServiceNow helps you discover and monitor your VMware estate. My name is Gian Mario De Luigi. I'm part of the outbound product management team for ServiceNow ITOM. And today I'm going to show you how ITOM visibility allows you to discover and gain service context of your VMware resources. My counterpart, Victoria Law, is then going to show you how to prevent issues from happening in your VMware resources thanks to ITOM Health. In order to discover your VMware resources, with ServiceNow ITOM Visibility, you can use two different approaches. The first one is to configure a discovery schedule, like we already did here. We very simply need to define which MID server we want to use. We then need to define how often do we want to run that discovery schedule. In this case, we decided to run it on demand, but we can decide how frequently we want to run it. And then we need to define the discovery range sets. So we basically want to define the discovery IP ranges that we're going to target in this specific discovery schedule. Once we've done that, we need to make sure to insert our VMware credentials. So in our instance, we need to have our user and password, basically our read-only credentials for VMware. And that would allow us to have visibility of all of our VMware resources that we have on our estate. This is a very powerful tool because ServiceNow allows you with only this set of read-only credentials to discover everything that you have in your VMware estate. In particular, you'll be able to populate your CMDB with all these different CIs such as vCenter, Data Center, even ESX servers. We can see, in fact, that we'll have a list of all the ESX servers that have been first of all discovered and then added to our CMDB. And this is valid for all the other CIs, of course, whenever we have the respective resources in our estate. Another way to populate our CMDB and keep it up to date is to leverage the MID server extension, specifically talking about the vCenter event collectors. In this case, we have already configured them, and we're basically establishing a persistent connection between the MID server and vCenter. So whenever we have events on our VMware resources, such as a machine that is being paused, or that has been restarted, etc., we'll have a notification-driven discovery that will automatically update our CMDB. So now that we have populated and updated our CMDB, we can leverage the CMDB workspace. This is a single pane of glass from where we can access details about what we have populated our CMDB with. We can see here clear indicators of our overall CMDB CI's health, and also of the health of the relationships between the CIs that we have discovered, as well as how many new CIs we have and different information about our different CIs that we have discovered. At the very top here, we can even perform the intelligent search. We can see among our recent searches that we were asking the CMDB workspace to show us the recently discovered ESX servers. And as a matter of fact, we have the full list of ESX servers that have been recently discovered here. We can then navigate to the Management tab in order to create CMDB groups, dynamic CI groups, etc. So CMDB groups are groupings of CIs that have properties in common. We can even set up new CMDB groups in this way. We can identify the group name. In this case, we want to group together the ESX servers. And the group type will be a default group. And we just hit save. We can now then specify which CMDB CIs we want to include in this new CMDB group. Specifically, we can type in ESX server. And we can then set even further conditions, such as asset, location, company, etc., because we may have different CIs in different locations, or we can set all different sorts of conditions here to group together the CMDB CIs. So we can just set the policy and then hit save. And this is how we made sure to create the CMDB CI group. We can then go back to our Management tab and define a new dynamic CI group. The difference between the dynamic CI group and the CMDB group is that dynamic CA group actually utilizes the CMDB group for filtering, but then exposes the result as an actual CI, whereas a CMDB group isn't actually a CI. The dynamic CA group, in practice, is treated as a logical system of similar or related CIs that are typically the focus of a technical service offering. And here we're dealing with VMware, which is basically a technical service offering. And that's why it's important to leverage the dynamic CA groups. We'll now hit new, name the new dynamic CA group as ESX test 1. We'll scroll all the way down and define the CMDB group that we previously set. So if we scroll, we'll find ESX servers. We'll make sure to put it as operational, so it will be visible by the system, and we'll just hit save. Once it gets saved, we can just view the CMDB 360 data, and we'll be able to see how it has been recognized as a technical service. So if we go back and open the dependency view, and we click details, we'll be able to see all the associated CIs that are part of this dynamic CA group. And in case we have any incident, problem, or changes that occurred, we'll be able to see them in this single and unified view. What we can do now is to go to our CMDB key value table, where we'll be able to see all the CIs that have a key value, so they have a tag. We can group them based on the key. So if we hit group by key, we'll be able to see how many keys we have in our state. We can see perhaps application key, department key, location key, etc. But in order to gain even more insights, we can launch the interactive analysis. The interactive analysis is a very simple way for us to visualize our CIs in our state and see how we can group them by key, as we did here, and we stack them by configuration item class. We can see perhaps that for the application key, we have 342 VMware virtual machine instances, or for the department key, we have 320 VMware virtual machine instances, or for the name, we have 24 CIs where the class is cloud subnet, and so on and so forth. We can get all the details that we want, and at the same time, we can keep the same classification as we saw before, where we're grouping our CIs based on the key. Once we have a better understanding of the CIs inside our estate, we can then go and define the CI tag categories. So we can group different tags together. For simplicity here, we can just see a test tag category that I just created. In this specific case, I decided to select the application tag key, but we can select multiple ones here. And then we can go and select the tag-based service families. And as a matter of fact, I created one already that is already including the tag category that we just saw there. We can insert different tag categories within the tag-based service family. It's just a way for us to group things together, in this specific case, tags and tag categories. And then we can go and see which service candidates we have. So with ServiceNow, we can leverage the tag-based service families in order to map our services. We can see here that we have different service candidates. Perhaps we can select the media wiki and we can choose to map the selected service. Now, the list of mapped services will be processed every 24 hours, but in this case, we're going to select the media wiki service and we're going to recalculate it, hitting recalculate service. This is exactly how the media wiki service will then be mapped. And if we select view map, we'll be brought to the service map. Here, as a matter of fact, we can click in each element of the service map and we'll be able to see what that is. So as an example, we can here see that we have a VMware virtual machine instance. The media wiki service is here, and we have a series of different VMware virtual machine instances. on which the service is running. This is a great way to visualize which CIs are involved in your services and to visually understand how your services work. If you want to better understand how to set the different relationships that you want to appear in your service maps, you have to then configure the tag-based transversal rules. In here, you'll be able to understand which relationship types you want to have in your maps. So now that we understood how to best leverage our tags in order to visualize our services, it's time for Victoria, my counterpart, to go through how ITOM Health can help you prevent issues from happening from VMware resources and prevent these issues from impacting your business. Victoria, over to you.
Thank you, John, for showing us how ITOM visibility can help you monitor your VMware state. Now, my name is Victoria Lowe, and I'll show you how ITOM Health complements everything that John just showed you. Starting off with the integration launchpad in the service operations workspace. So you're going to have a lot of integrations, whether it's VMware or Dynatrace or Datadog, for example, and you need an easy way to set them all up in your ServiceNow instance. So first, what we can do is that we can browse all the out-of-the-box integrations that we have available. And for example, if you didn't really have a specific one that you're looking for, you could first just filter by the type of integration. So whether it's just events, we can just select this bubble, just go for metrics, or just looking for any of the log integrations that are available. We can also filter by the event type, so push or pull connectors. But if you know exactly what you're looking for and it's not very easily searchable by just scrolling through this, we can search it directly here. So just typing right here, vSphere. Here we can see all the available out-of-the-box integrations for vSphere. So clicking right here, you can select the agent client collector for the appropriate operating system that you would like to install ACC on. And once you've installed this, we can go to the policies page to look at all of the policies that we've created for vSphere. So right now I'll just search up vSphere right here. And just for example, I'm going to choose just the ESX server metrics policy for vSphere. So after selecting the policy vSphere ESX server metrics, we can see all the information about the policy right here. We can look at the monitored CIs that we set up. So in this case, is the ESX server is the monitored CI type. You can also see the proxy settings. So the agent cluster name is the Crucible proxy agents, which we'll go into after this. We can also look at the scheduling and set that up, and then also look at what credentials are used for this policy. Now down here, we can also look at the check instances. So in this case, it is the vSphere metric ESX server. And going to that page by just clicking here, we can see all the information about the check instance. And just so you know, you have to enter the host name for the check instance itself, which would be right here. Now going back to what we saw about the proxy agent clusters, if we go to the proxy agent cluster page, we can see the Crucible proxy agents that were referred to in the policy page that I showed you previously. And clicking here, we can see all the agents in the cluster. And agents in a cluster enable you to assign that cluster to multiple policies instead of having to assign the agents individually to every policy. So that's the benefit of having a proxy agent cluster. Now going back to Integration Launchpad, after setup, looking at the policies, looking at the proxy agent cluster, if you want to look at everything that you already have set up in your environment, you can go to the My Integrations tab right here, and you can see all the active integrations, as well as any inactive integrations you may have. Now, staying in the service operations workspace, we are going to move on to the service dashboard. And here we can see all these services that are set up. So depending on how you want to look at your services, you can group by business criticality or any of these other groupings. And you can also change the group order or the segmentation of the groups. Or if you have a lot of services and you can't really find the one you're looking for by just looking at the dashboard itself, you can always search it up. So I will search up the one that John set up for the purpose of this demo, ESX test 1, and we can see that it is a not critical business service, but there are a lot of alerts on it right now. So clicking here and then clicking service details, we can see all the information about it that we have. It is a non-critical technical service. It's operational. Its name is ESX Test 1. As well as we can look at the related records. So we can see all the alerts that are related to this service, as well as all the associated CIs. And you can do this for any of the other services that are also on this dashboard, as you can see here. Moving on to another feature of the service operations workspace, which is the Express List. The Express List provides an at-a-glance view of all of the alerts coming to your system, where you can easily access all the key information that you need for any which alert that comes into this list, which is also a live list. So right now we can see that there are 4 filters that are applied. In this scenario, I'm going to clear them all. And now we can see that we have 717 alerts. So if all these alerts didn't match you, whether it's not the specific service that you actually care about for your role, you can filter here by impacted services. But in the case that you're just perusing the alert list, you can just scroll and scroll and scroll some more, because there's infinite scroll on this list, and look at all of the alerts that have come in. But if you took a 15-minute coffee break and you left your computer and now you're back and you want to see what just happened in the past 15 minutes, we can click right here and set the time to the last 15 minutes so that all the alerts that will show here will only be what's occurred in that specific time frame. So in the last 15 minutes, there have apparently actually been 5 alerts, which may not be great depending on how severe they are, and they're critical, so not great. But this is also a great example because we can see that in the past 15 minutes, there have been 5 alerts that were all clustered together because they all shared similar descriptions. But I will just go back to the all-time time frame just so that we can see all the alerts. So looking at the filters, there are several ways that you can filter all of these alerts that are coming in. You can filter based off of state, severity, priority, source, number, configuration items, impacted services, node, description, which is free text. So for example, if I just want to see all of the alerts that talk about CPU, all I have to do is type CPU and click right here. And every alert that contains CPU in the description will now populate the list. You can also look at the assigned to assignment group, metric name, group maintenance, and acknowledged. And here's a quick look of some of the columns that are available for you to use in your Express list. But in this case, the only service I care about is the ESX technical service. So clicking on the impacted services filter, I'm just going to search up ESX test 1, or I can also just search up ESX. And now all of the alerts in this list are only alerts that impacted the specific service. Now looking at this alert right here, we can see all of the quick information that you need to just understand what the alert was in the first place. We can see that the alert was closed, which is great, but we can also see the resource, the metric name, the source, the configuration item, and some additional information right here. And if you want to look at the configuration item, all you have to do is click here, and a separate tab will open up just so you can get a bit more detail on the configuration item that was affected. Here we can see the details, the related records, and the metrics. And here are some of the metrics that we can see about the specific CI. Now going back to the live list of alerts, on Express List, we're going to open a different alert. So by clicking on the description here, another side panel pops out with all the same information that I mentioned before, where applicable. And when this alert panel pops out and you're analyzing the alert information, you also have the ability to close the alert, acknowledge the alert, or create an incident from it. And to close the panel, all you have to do is just click this preview panel X button right here. And you may notice for some alerts, they're clustered. So for example, here, we see that there are 2 alerts, which follows the description, which have the same description. So if I click the arrow right here, the 2 alerts that were grouped together are shown. And the reason for the clustering is what we can see in the description right here. So if we want to look at the full description of the alert cluster, we can see that it is because they both have the same description apart from the configuration item itself. Or if you click the description of the alert cluster itself, we will see the 2 alerts with their short descriptions and affected configuration items in the side panel that pops up. Similarly, you can see other alert clusters as we scroll down, and they were grouped for various reasons, as you can see here in the descriptions of the clusters. And another feature that you may find useful as an individual or a team that cares only about a certain type of alert is that you can create and save filters. So by default, there are 4 filter conditions that are automatically applied, but for the purposes of right now, I've cleared them all. And let's say, for example, the state of the alert does not matter to you. You want to see all of the alerts, whether they're open or closed. But maybe for impacted services, you only care about the ESX test 1 service that John created earlier. So I will just type that here, and I only care for when the value contains ESX for impacted services. And then maybe I only care about if the severity is critical or major. So I will uncheck everything except for critical and major. And then at this point, I have 2 applied conditions. You can apply more if you'd like. And now I will save this filter. And you can name the filter whatever you want. I'll just name it test ESX for now. And if you'd also like to set it as the default filter, all you have to do is check this button. But I will just save it as is. And now, if you ever want to access this filter with these 2 preset conditions, all you have to do is press this in the drop-down menu for the filters. Going back from the default filters that are applied, and then just clicking here to access the test filter that I just created. Moving away from the service operations workspace, we're now in the platform analytics workspace. So you may have noticed before when I was looking at the CI, I showed you a bit of metrics that are accessible on the page of a CI. But if you'd like to see a more broad picture of your VMware estate, you can go into the platform analytics workspace and go to the dashboards and see here that we have a certified out-of-the-box dashboard just for VMware vSphere monitoring. So just click here, and now you can see various metric types for VMs, ESX servers, the data center, and data store, as well as alerts if there are any related alerts. Here we can see the various metrics that are available for VMs. So CPU usage, CPU demand, CPU wait time, and the widgets go on. And here we can see the metrics for ESX servers. Again, metrics such as CPU reserve capacity, power usage, storage adapter latency, and so on. And for data centers, we can see metrics such as migrations with vMotion, power on operation, power off operations, host change operations, and even more operations. And metrics for data store include write average, read average, throughput contention, throughput usage, and so on. And if you have any alerts, they will show up right here. So after this demonstration, the three key takeaways that you should come out with are that these are all out-of-the-box capabilities. 2, only one read-only credential is required. And 3, this is incredible fast time to value. And with that, on behalf of John and I'd like to thank you for watching this video, and please stay tuned for more.